sites across New York City to house asylum seekers.
Yeah, Governor Kathy Hochul toured several sites with federal officials over the weekend, but the feds have not given the proposal the green light as of this morning. So joining us to weigh in on the very latest on the migrant crisis is New York City's public advocate, Jumaane Williams. So good morning to you.
Morning.
Thanks for being
Good morning.
with us.
Good morning. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
So the asylum seekers are supposedly going to be arriving on Roosevelt Island this week. Have you been able to tour that facility and look at it?
We're hoping to tour soon. We've been looking at as many as we could. And as you know, there's some tough decisions that have to be made here. And as you were speaking, unfortunately, we're not yet getting the support we need on the federal level. We hope that they move quicker on approving these sites. We definitely need some additional funding. We definitely need folks to get work authorizations much sooner. We definitely need them to help coordinate other places that the migrants may be able to go. And I would actually say the same thing on the state level, although thankfully the governor is now starting to get more involved, but it's a bit late even for that.
You know, what we haven't really heard is a contingency plan, right? What if the federal government doesn't come through with money? What if the work visas do not get approved as quickly as everybody hopes they do? What exactly is the contingency?
Well, I tell you, this is something that we're all concerned about. This is an unsustainable place for New York City to be in. New York City should not be making federal policy, and they should not be making state policy. And so we are pleading almost in unison at this point for the assistance that we need.
But that's been going on for almost a year.
It's very frustrating. I will say, and I have said this before, there are places I think the city could have done some things better. There are also some things that I think we should have done in terms of the housing crisis, which is exacerbating this. But where we are right now, it's going to be hard to pull out of it without other levels of government stepping in. They just have to, and it's mind-boggling that it's taking this long. And I know, thankfully, Tom Perez came and took a look. We met with Tom Perez when we were in D.C. My hope is that the president at some point will come and take a look. Maybe if he saw it face to face, we might get a different response.
Because in the meantime, we're actually seeing families with children on the street.
You know, I always tell folks just to think about it. I mean, don't think about it in a broad view. Think about what it would take you to take your family, your newborn, your pregnant wife across the jungle facing nefarious situations for months to try to get a better life. There are a lot of things there are only a few things that would cause that to happen. So these folks are running from danger, and so they are legally here asking for asylum, and we have a duty to do our best to provide a humanitarian response to a humanitarian crisis. Unfortunately, some levels of government aren't stepping up.
So take a look, you know, what's happening here in New York City, right? The city proposing this idea, or they're already implementing it, limiting adult migrants to 60 days in the shelter system. And that was blasted by some local leaders. I don't know if you were one of them.
Yeah, I was.
So the emergency management commissioner, Zach Iscol, was on Picks on Politics this Sunday where he said that's what we have to do to keep families off the streets. And there's just no good option. So what do you think of it?
So the last part I think is correct. There are only bad options.
Yeah.
We want to choose the best of the bad options. I don't think that was the best of the bad options. I think that the administration has been trying to attack right to shelter even before this, and this is one way of doing that. So I don't agree with that, and I wish that they would reverse it, because right to shelter is a real thing that we need. It's also statewide. It's not a city law, it's a state law. So we really need the governor to step in and really make sure that it's applied across the state, and that will also help other municipalities and cities be a part of the solution as well.
Yeah, another topic I wanted to talk to you about was Rikers Island. Judge started the process of putting Rikers under federal control. So have you been able to visit the facility recently? Some of the council members saying that there have been improvements. What about you?
Well, those council members said it's a great environment. So I want to be clear about what they said. This is what we're dealing with, and people who think would go to a jail, primarily black and brown folks, and think that it's a great environment, shows you how much people are just disassociated with what's actually going on. So I'm going to move that aside and try to deal with reality. The reality is that Rikers is unsafe for everybody who is there. People who are detained there, people who work there. People are dying. July was one of the worst worst months for deaths in as many years for people who are detained there. But you have staff, you have corrections officers who are being harmed, sexually assaulted. No one is safe there. I have concerns about federal receivership. I want to be clear about that, and I'm on the record of that. But what's happening now isn't working, and we've had multiple administrations that haven't been able
Right,
to
so
get us
what's
where we
the
need to
answer,
go.
right? And we know it's shutting down, but that's down the line. So people are saying, okay, there are problems, and it has been mishandled. It can't be handled by the city, so federal receivership is the option.
Yes.
What are your reservations about it?
Because, you know, it's worked in some places and it hasn't worked in others. We've seen federal jails not being run the way we want it to run as well. So there are concerns there. And there are some ways that we're hoping the federal receivership will come in with other partners who have been dealing on this issue, so it's not just one person. But, you know, there's concerns with every option. And again, sometimes you only have bad options.
Right.
And leadership is choosing the best of those bad options and being able to
So
explain.
you're okay with no federal receivership?
No, I think federal receivership is the direction we have to go in now.
Okay.
What I would prefer is to see a plan by this city that will prevent that and will show us that we're going to get where we need to go much quicker than is happening now. But in absentia of that, I can't think of anything else except the receivership.
Yeah. Well, there's so much more we would love to talk to you about. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, so make sure you come back so we can
Absolutely.
talk about some
Thank
other
you.
things
Always
as
good to
well.
have you.
All right, Jumaane Williams coming up.